Good evening. We have NP Clem here, your host one more time. The last time I talked about the AFC, and I didn't like the way I did it. I don't think I did enough prep work beforehand. I think this time I'm a little better. This time I'm a little bit sick, so I'm a little unclear. Let me know, and I'll try and uh, figure that out. We are being hosted today, or sponsored, I should say, by Bell's. Two Hearted Ale. Fantastic beer. If you ever get a chance to drink it, please do. Especially on draft at a bar, it is fantastic. You can't beat it, honestly. So let's get into it. So as I see it, I think there's only 10 teams who can make the playoffs right now in the NFC, and I'll run through the current standings based on divisional standings and overall records. Right now, the one seed are the Seahawks at 12-2. The Panthers are the 2 seed at 11-3, 3 seed Bears 10-4, 4 seed Cowboys at 8-6 overall, and then first wild card 5 seed is the Bucks at 10-4, and then the Rams at 10-4. I don't remember why I put that. I think it was actually a divisional record. Is the second tiebreaker since they didn't play. So right now, based on the NFL tiebreakers, the Bucks are the 5 seed over the Rams. In seventh are the 49ers at 10-5. Eighth, the Lions at 9-5. And then ninth, the Washington racist team names at 8-7, and 10 Eagles at 7-7. Coming into this week, the Giants were in the playoff hunt in the NFC East, but they lost to Washington on Thursday, which eliminated them based on a bunch of tiebreakers that could potentially happen in the NFC East. And speaking of the NFC East, sorry, I distracted. Right now, the Cowboys are top of the division, currently number 4 overall seed. They're 8-6, followed by, of course, Washington and the Eagles. So, week 16, the Cowboys travel to Atlanta, and I think that is the CFBHC definition of a trap game. There's no reason Atlanta should be as bad as they are. I think they've had some issues on the defensive line. I think overall the defense has played worse than they should have. Offensively, they've been inconsistent. Achille Wallace hasn't been as great. But they have the talent, they have the tools necessary to beat just about anybody in the league. So that's not an easy game. And the Skins, of course, like I said, they beat the Giants. So they kept their playoff hopes alive while crushing the Giants. So it's always good in the division like the East to crush your opponent's playoff hopes late in the season. And the Eagles travel to Tampa Bay. That's a very, very tough game. Tampa Bay. Well, they don't travel to Tampa Bay. They host Tampa Bay. Still very tough. Tampa Bay is a top tier team in my opinion. I'm not sure how active Blitz is and how much he game plans. I'm not sure how much of an impact that has overall on his team. But anyways, I think the Cowboys will find a way to beat the Falcons. It'll be a closer game than it probably has any right to be based on how these two teams are playing right now. It'll probably be like 24-21 or 24-17. A.J. Jefferson will throw a crucial pick late in the game. I think Kamal Davis and Von Abraham will be enough offense to overcome Atlanta. And I just don't see the Eagles beating Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is still trying to win their division. They still can. So Tampa Bay is not going to hold back. So I just think that's just a loss, and that will eliminate the Eagles from the playoffs. So coming week 17, the Cowboys host the Giants, and at this point at 9-7, the Cowboys, I think, have pretty much locked up the division. I'm not sure exactly, but I think they'll beat the Giants at home. The Giants are going to give them a tough game. The Giants aren't going to quit. Any chance the Giants can get to ruin someone's season, they're going to take it, especially a division opponent. So expect a tough game, expect a close game, but I think the Cowboys will pull it out and win the division. I think Washington, who hosts the Eagles, will win. It'll be again a tough game. I think division, especially the NFC East, is such a tough division. I think most of those games are going to be close. So that means I think the division will shake out to be Cowboys finishing 10-6, winning the division. Washington 9-7 out of the playoffs. Eagles 7-9 out of the playoffs. So there's one division down. Next, we go to the North, and one team is not going to like my prediction at all. So currently, the Bears are 10-4. The Lions are 9-5. At Week 16, the Bears travel to Seattle, and that's probably one of the toughest places to travel. And the Lions travel to Minnesota. No, Minnesota's had a lot of injuries, not a lot, but a couple key injuries. And I think Brian Vardell, who I was really high on earlier in the season, has kind of shown that maybe he's not as good of a quarterback as I thought he was. Plus, he has all as their ALWL9 as their coach and GM and everything there. And we all know that he's not exactly the most active person, so that might be contributing to the Minnesota's troubles. But I think the Bears lose. I think the Lions win. So I put them both at 10-5 coming into Week 17, which is a huge, huge game. It's in Detroit between the two teams. Chicago will go to Detroit. And Chicago has too many injuries to key defensive players. I think Norris Brookshire is a very good young quarterback, but I still think he has had some inconsistencies in his play overall. And I think Rob LeCount the veteran will do enough in that game to help his team win. So I think Detroit will pull that game out, which means Chicago will finish 10-6, and Detroit will finish 11-5, and Detroit will win the division. Check the shout box real quick. Okay. All right. NFC South. One team, again, is not going to like this at all. Panthers currently lead 11-3. Bucks are 10-4. Week 16, Carolina travels to New Orleans, and Tampa Bay travels to Philly, like I mentioned earlier. They're both going to win. I think the Saints are a bit of a trap game. We all know that the Saints are going to throw because they have no one to really run the ball. So I just don't see the Saints being, especially with a one-dimensional offense and an offense that just can't sustain that one dimension successfully. They're not going to pull it out. So I think the Saints are not going to win. So which means the Panthers will move to 12-3. The Bucks will move to 11-4. Which will set up a huge matchup between the two teams in Tampa Bay in Week 17. That's correct. It will be Carolina at Tampa Bay Week 17 with the division on the line. I think Tampa Bay will win. I think Carolina overall is a better team, but Tampa Bay just has a magic of winning big games as far as I can tell, as I can see. Taylor Hayden gets up for big games, really plays well. And I just think that the defense will force Skaggs to throw an interception late in the game. I think that'll be the defining factor, which means they'll both finish 12-4. And we get to go to tiebreakers. So the first one is head-to-head. Carolina won the first matchup, and since I'm predicting Tampa Bay to win the second matchup, still a tie. Second tiebreaker is divisional records. Under my scenario, my predictions, they'll both finish 5-1. So as far as I can tell, that's a tie. So it comes to common games. And looking at their schedule and looking at their performances and their results list in that schedule, they have played 12 games in common. I'm including the two divisional games, each against Atlanta and New Orleans. I don't know if that's technically you're supposed to be included. I asked the shout box, and that's the answer I got was I think it's divisional teams are included. Doesn't matter. They're both 2-0 against those teams. So we'll skip them. Denver, they both beat. The Giants, Panthers beat. Bucks lost to. Cowboys beat the Panthers, lost to the Bucks. Same thing with Washington, lost to Panthers, beat the Panthers, lost to the Bucks. Sorry. Same thing with the Chargers, who beat the Panthers, lost to the Bucks. Now, Oakland lost to Carolina, but beat Tampa Bay. And they both beat Kansas City and Philly. So that would put Tampa Bay's record at common games to 10-2, and Carolina's at 9-3. So that would give Tampa Bay the division win and put them at probably the 2 seed. We'll see how that goes, shakes out with the NFC West. But I believe if the Panthers win against New Orleans this week, they will at least clinch a playoff spot. So the Panthers are at least knowing they're going to the playoffs, where last season, where coming out last couple of games, the Saints, Panthers, and the Bucks all had a chance to make it. So Panthers win in Week 16, they're in at least. You at least have that. Okay. Check shoutouts. Okay, NFC West, 3 teams still alive for the playoffs. The 49ers can't win the division, and I don't think the Rams can either based on divisional record in the head-to-head either. So I think no matter what, I think the Seahawks, it's not listed in the wiki as having clinched the division, but I think they have. So let's look at it. Currently, Seahawks 12-2, host Chicago. Rams 10-4, host Arizona. 49ers 10-5, are on a bye. 49ers probably the hottest team in the league. Started 1-4, have been 9-1 since. Offense is absolutely electric, but I think they would give anything right now to be 10-4 and playing against somebody this week to try and get to 11 wins this week and try and get to 12 week 17. But that's not how life works out. So I see both the Seahawks and the Rams winning. Arizona has the worst defense in the league, and Rams have a good enough defense to win that game, at least, hopefully. Now, Week 17, 49ers play at Arizona. They're going to win that game. I see Troy McCray going for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I see Tom Lester going for 60 yards, a touchdown on the ground as well. Now, the Seahawks will travel to St. Louis. And I believe at this stage, no matter who wins, Seattle still wins the division. But I'm going to predict the Seahawks to lose anyways. Excuse me. So with Seattle's Week 16 win at Chicago, they win the division. So I think they have clinched it already. But if they win this week, they're going to clinch it anyway. So it doesn't really matter because I think they're going to win anyways. So final standings in the West, I have the Seahawks 13-3, Rams 12-4, 49ers 11-5. So the Seahawks will win the NFC West. So which brings us to our final seedings according to my predictions. First 1 seed Seahawks 13-3, 2 seed Bucks who won the South over the Panthers 12-4, the Lions who won the North over the Bears 11-5, Cowboys 10-6. Now coming to the wild card, both the Panthers and the Rams are 12-4. They didn't play each other, so the tiebreaker moves on to divisional record. And according to my scenario, Panthers will be 5-1, Rams 4-2. So the Panthers will get the 5 seed, Rams will get the 6 seed, which means the 49ers, the Bears, the Washington Races team names, and the Philadelphia Eagles will all be left out of the playoffs. Sorry to say that to the 49ers and Bears who had great seasons, especially the Bears as an expansion team last year, having just a really, really rough season, making a great offseason moves, great draft picks, and put themselves in a great position. But I think those 2 defensive injuries you sustained against Packers are going to be big enough, especially against the Lions, to cause you guys to lose out and miss the playoffs. Now, when it comes to the actual playoff, any questions in the shout box? Divisional record doesn't matter. Well, time I read both the wiki and NFL tie-breaking website procedures. For a wild card, it does matter, even if they're not in the same division. So unless I'm reading it wrong, that's always possible. I could be an idiot and reading it wrong, but as far as I can tell, it does matter. So now the actual playoffs. So wild card. So the teams of byes will be the Seahawks and Bucks. So wild card will be the Rams at the Lions, and then the Panthers at the Cowboys. I like both lower seeds, Panthers and the Rams, to win those games. The Lions have that tough defense, but I don't like the offense enough to win in the playoffs, so I'm going to take the Rams. And I know Panthers have Skaggs. Cowboys are a very good team, but I just think they're a little shallow in defense. That's going to cost them against a team like the Panthers who can score with anybody. which means the divisional round will be Rams at the Seahawks and the Panthers at the Bucks. I got the Seahawks winning against the Rams. I just think right now they're just a better team overall, and that'll lead them to a victory. And I've got an upset, sort of upset, in the Panthers against the Bucks. I got the Panthers winning that game. I know Skaggs has never won in the playoffs, but I think he's turned a corner in his career. He's having an insane season, efficiency-wise and performance-wise. And I think the Panthers overcome the Bucks at home in the playoffs, which means the Panthers will travel to the Seahawks for the NFC Championship game. And in that one, I see the Seahawks winning. I think defensively they have the tools to stop the Panthers' offense. And I think on offense they have enough firepower to match the Panthers against their defense. So I see the Seahawks winning that game. It'll be something lower scoring than you would think, something like 20-17. But I think the Seahawks will pull it out late. Which comes to my Super Bowl prediction. I've got the Seahawks of the NFC and the Colts out of the AFC. Colts started from the bottom, made it to the top, went back to the bottom, going back to the top. I got the Colts winning 42 to -7. Somehow the Seahawks will score -7 points. And the Colts will win the Super Bowl again. Aaron Shea will ascend into the heavens and come back a new man, come back literally Jesus Christ, and lead the Colts to 10 straight Super Bowl wins. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any questions? No questions about the Colts beating the Seahawks 42 to -7 in the Super Bowl. Well, guys, it's been a blast. I'm sure I made some errors somewhere. I guaranteed I made wrong predictions somewhere along the way. Definitely not the Super Bowl prediction. That's for sure. Guaranteed. Gonna happen. Count on it. Another prediction about Super Bowl. Alexander Williams retires, joins the Cleveland Browns as the quarterback's coach. End podcast.